This video was supposed to be done several weeks ago, but I just wanted to make sure that my heart was in the right place when I discussed this next topic. I recently watched an interview between brilliant economic mind in the form of George Fraser and a leader I hadn't known about before. I've only heard about from a content creator here on YouTube. And then the second time I heard about this leader was during the boycott for Target. And so I really don't know much about him, but I know about George Fraser's work. He is someone whom I respect his mind when it comes to Black economics. A portion of that interview was discussing the state of Black marriage and the Black family. And so it intrigued me, their discussion. And in the interview, Mr. Fraser says that one thing a man wants from his woman is first peace, then respect, non-sexual intimacy, and the woman being nurturing to their children. And then he goes on to say that women want a man who can protect and provide. In that moment specifically, I think that Mr. Fraser demonstrated a level of vulnerability and openness that a lot of young men nowadays have difficulty expressing. What I would say to that statement is that I, as a woman, want both of those things, the latter and the former, from a man who I would consider marriage with. The question on my mind is always, would life with this man be full of peace and respect and consideration for me? Consideration that happens out of a genuine connection, out of his genuineness and wanting to be in my presence and wanting to be near me and do life with me. So I'm thinking, would this man share his ideas with me? Could we brainstorm just creating stuff together? Could me and this man truly build a life together that is revolutionary? That whole protect and provide thing is necessary. However, it's a beginning step. And there's so much more that is required. And honestly, as a Black woman in America, there's not really much a man can do for me, like to protect me, and if there is something that a man could do that could protect me, I probably already have that covered. And so protecting and providing is all well and dandy, but it's really just the beginning of the requirements. Before we move further, let me make my stance perfectly clear. I do not subscribe to the idea that a man keeps his woman in check. I believe that a man's character and the caliber of whom he is demonstrates daily to his woman the level of respect that he is to be treated with, that he adores her, that he honors her and respects her and wants to make sure that she wants for nothing. This man has to equate his happiness with my happiness, my wins with his wins, my successes with his successes. He needs to pour into me all that he's got, knowing that when I succeed, he succeeds. And most of all, this man will know his actions, whether good or bad, the direct effect it will have on me and our relationship, our children, our family, and ultimately our community. What I want is a man who takes pride in protecting his family, a man who covers his family, who provides selflessly to his family unit, as any honorable man should want to do, without complaint and without an audience. What I can agree with is that there is a space in our community between the genders, which most likely, in my opinion, has to deal with social media and the way in which we are having to connect through the internet and through electronic means rather than being social in person and really getting to know people in a very in real life way rather than relying on apps and the sort. This reliance on technology to foster connections is really hindering our ability to connect with each other because of a lack of trust in our community, for a number of reasons. But there's a lack of trust, then there's a space that's being created because people are not incentivized to get out and go meet people in real life and sit down and just have real conversation. This is not helping us get to a place of marriage for a lot of us. One of the things that needs to be addressed is the spaces we have where we can communicate with each other in a very real way and have real deep, meaningful conversations that could root out the miscommunications, the constructed narratives that aren't based on reality and aren't based on the real life experiences of both of our genders. Now, don't get me wrong, it's always nice to have a space for the women to go and just be with our sisters and, talk and lean on each other. And likewise, I'm sure it's very good for the men to do the same with their brothers. But there needs to be a space where we all can come together and have real conversations about what's missing, about what's not connecting, about what we need from each other as in our communities, in our homes, and build from there. And when I say misconceptions, I'm talking about folks being in rooms where women are not present, and they're pushing out the misconception that women, Black women specifically, are more than content to just do bad all by themselves. They would forego having a husband and having a serious committed partner. And that's just not the reality of the situation. Coming from a woman, it's not the reality of the situation. We as women are dealt the cards we are dealt, and we rise to the occasion. Because otherwise, what's the alternative? The women I know and we respect and we value marriage and what marriage does for us as women, for our children, for our communities, our extended families, we still value marriage, but somehow it all goes back to Black women don't want da 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 da. And that misconception is being platformed by otherwise respectable individuals, and it's not good. While I respect marriage and I understand its benefits, we all do. Nou pa vle entre nan mariage kote se abus nou pal subi. While I do still believe in love, I still believe in Black love, and I still believe in the ability for Black folks to be married in a healthy and whole way, as for me and the people I'm responsible for, I'm always going to stand for being in a union that is healthy and safe. There's this little song that goes, "You under your husband's foot, what he say goes. Why you so scared? I'll never know, but if a man raises his hand, hell no." That goes to show you we don't tolerate that stuff around these parts. And so that's really, and that's abuse in all of its forms. It will not be tolerated. But what I'm saying here is that we should move the conversation away from this devolved state of Black women don't want marriage, because it's not rooted in reality. Speaking about devolving, let's touch briefly on this idea of hypergamy. When it comes to love, relationship, marriage, and hypergamy, we have lost the plot. There are some of us, like me, who was raised with this notion, and my mentors instilled this ideal that marriage is a union between two people where those two individuals decide together that they're going to build a life together. A lot of people were not taught this. So I'm wondering, how do we get back to that? How do we get back to really prioritizing two people meeting and wanting to build a life together, instead of what's being pushed now, which is people should already come pre-made, pre-packaged to just fit into this perfect picture, which is unrealistic. How do we teach the people who haven't learned this? How do we bring this back and update it and make it more relevant to what's happening in today's time? Maybe that will look more like everyone having more access to women in leadership. And I'm not saying women who are just perpetuating misogyny and perpetuating patriarchy. We need real leadership from both men and women who value marriage and who have done marriage appropriately. Also, when we are speaking about marriage and hypergamy, there's always there's this thing that happens, and I really think it's because there are some of us who are forgetting that the call is to address poverty and not villainize the impoverished and not demean the experiences of the impoverished. It's looking more and more like there are people who have much who pursue those who are not bringing in as much as they are financially, just to berate them with iterations of, what do you bring to the table? We need to do better as a community in that space. If you are a wealthy Black individual and you are interested in a hypergamous marriage, it would make sense for you to pursue someone who isn't your equal on that level and teach them and help them grow in that particular area so that you two can build with each other and grow and be a beacon of hope for the rest of us in the community. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to demonstrate love, wealth, health, understanding, and Black pride. That's not what's being done currently in a lot of spaces. It seems more often I am encountering people who, men are getting together in groups in the absence of an honorable man present, and they are just sharing with each other stories and tactics on how to subjugate women, the women in their lives, their girlfriends, their wives, their significant others, and where did it all go wrong? Like, where did something is missing? And if I would have to point to a place where I can see a change could be made for the positive, is that the culture of the barbershop needs to come back. And I'm talking about the barbershop being a healthy space, right? So this is where we can kind of see how capitalism has a part to play in how the relationships in the Black community between men and women are decreasing and they're not being healthy, is because there was a point in time where men would go to the barbershops and they could seek the counsel of other men, and it wouldn't be this group of, you know, the blind basically leading the blind. And I would imagine that it was like that back in those days because the barbershop was a real place where men could go in person. And during that time, the barbershop was safe for men to take their children, you know, and it was safe. It was a safe place for the Black family. And men, I believe, were very careful of the advice they were giving to their fellows because they knew that their wives could come in and see about what, you know, a particular person was telling her husband to do in their home, you know, and to her. And so it made people more aware of the advice they were giving. It made people more responsible in the advice that they were given. And so we need to step back into that space of responsible advice and healthy advice. I would like for our men to collectively step away from taking advice from other men who are weak. They're taking advice and modeling themselves after weak and dishonorable men, but whom are successful in their careers. And so they see the success of the careers of these men and they automatically equate that with, you know, this is the type of man I want to be and I want to be successful like he is. Meanwhile, that man is teaching them how to be dishonorable and how to be detrimental to his own interests in his home, with his children, with his wife, with his community. And we have to step away from that. You men have to model yourselves after honorable men, you have to model yourselves after a man who's been through some things in life, who can tell you, I did this and it did not work out right, and this was my pitfalls, and I don't want you to fall down this same path. I want to see you do better than what I did, and here's how to do it. Treat your wife well. Be present for your children. These are the things, these are the conversations. Start lifting each other up. Start telling each other how to be healing, how to be a healing factor in your family and in your communities. So really what I'm saying is, it's a lack of proper guidance and mentorship to the young men and men in my age group. And I guess what it's really like is that there are some successful men who are honorable and respectable. However, those men are so overwhelmed with, keeping their businesses afloat and keeping, whatever they got going on running smoothly, that they don't make the time out to properly bring in the young ones coming in after them. They don't make the time to be present. If you all are saying that the men matter, the young boys matter, y'all have to set the space for them and the time to know that on this day, I will be here for all the young men that need my leadership. It shouldn't just be like, twice a year kind of thing, or, like when we meet in this group, they should have access to you. When they're going through crisis, when they can't make a decision in their home, they should know that they have access to you. Even if they can't call you at that moment, you should be such a mentor to them that when they're thinking about doing this thing, they want to make sure that they can hold their face up straight when they look at you and tell you they've done this. So y'all have to be a present force in these men's lives. It cannot just be a twice a year kind of thing and telling them, oh yeah, we're here for you. Like, you need to be there for these young men, because if you are not there as a respectable, honorable leader that you are, they're getting their information on how to be a man from sick places and twisted places. With that being said, here are my suggestions for how we as a community can start getting to a place where we are increasing marriage rates. We need to have more relationships, more healthy relationships. And one simple way we can start by doing this is by, as a community, no longer tolerating Black men referring to Black women as female conversationally, during moments of disagreement. It should not be a thing. Unless you're doing a survey and you are a woman and you have to mark the box with the F next to it to stand for female, there's no reason why a man should be referring to a woman as female. It is disrespectful. And you all know it's disrespectful because those of you who respect your mothers do not refer to your mother that you respect as female. So let's keep that respect going across the board. I've never been in a room with respectable folk where the men in that room feel it necessary to refer to women as female. I've never seen a white man refer to a white woman as a female. So why are we allowing Black men to refer to Black women as female? Another reason why You all know it's a disrespectful dog whistle for patriarchy, for toxicity, is that those of you men who refer to women as female do not refer to yourselves or your brothers as male when you talk about them or to them. So let us just keep respect on the line and stop referring to black women and stop allowing the black men in your lives to refer to black women as females. Number 2, let us redefine what it looks like for courtship to happen between a black woman and a black man. Let us update the definition of courtship to fit 2025 and forward. Number 3, let us hold men accountable for putting off marriage until their late 30s and 40s. It's selfish and it's dangerous to women to have to ask them to start and begin a marriage at such a late age and to put their lives on the line to bear your children in very much close to a geriatric pregnancy. It's selfish and it's dangerous. A lot of men are using all types of excuses for why they are not getting married early or prior to their late 30s. They're using excuses like, I cannot find a good woman. I can't find a woman who I can settle down with. If you cannot find one, you're not looking hard enough. Then is the excuse of, I can't find a woman who will let me lead. If you are a man who is worthy of that respect from a woman, where she will allow you to be the head of the household that you are meant to be, you would not have to ask her to let you lead. That is something that is natural and it will occur naturally. Then there's the one which is, oh, I'm not economically where I want to be in order to get married and start a family. If Trump and his good old boys have it their way, you, black man, will not get to that sweet economic spot that you're waiting for. So, if you want marriage and you want children, go after it like you do that business. But if you don't want those things, don't keep women holding on to faith that you will come around someday. Don't keep making excuses as to why it cannot happen. Just say you don't want that so that people can move on to better prospects. So number 4, the women in my life whom I respect and whom I consider my mentors, they respect me as well. And they let me know when I fall short, and they pull me in ever so gently to allow me to see where I'm falling short. They give me the space that I need and the guidance that I need to course correct. Are you men doing that for the youngins coming in after you? And if you are doing so, how many young men are you responsible for? For you men who are leaders in this way, how many of you are prioritizing exposing your mentees to remarkable, honorable women? That's important. If you are a man who is a leader and you are mentoring the young men coming in behind you, you should be prioritizing exposing them to women, high status women, caliber women, so that they can start some of these boys so that they can start exercising that muscle of, not only can I respect this man in power and position, but I can also respect this woman in power and in position. You have to start helping these young men to understand that there is an equality amongst the sexes in the Black community, and that it doesn't make them any less of a man to have respect for women. And so once they can start having women mentors, just like they have men mentors, then they can adopt that to how they lead their households and see their wives as equals and see their wives as human beings worthy of respect and not just as a helpmate to be tolerated. These men need to start holding women in reverence. And so what's important for you leaders is to remember that your job is not just to lead with care and respect in your home. That's the beginning of the job, right? Is to start that kind of leadership and care at home on the micro level, and then you expand into the men in your lives, and you expand further out into your community. This is the work. The work is the protection of Black men and women, not just in your home, but in your community as well, the micro and the macro level. I do not want to encounter another Black man whose philosophy is, if she was my family, then I would have intervened. That should not be the mindset in our community at all. If you're a Black man and you know that your job is to protect, you're protecting those in your home and those in your community. They don't have to be your own blood in order for you to step in and right some wrongs. Finally, for those of you men of stature, when you are teaching the young men in your tutelage, teach them how to lead the women in their lives from a place of respect. Show them what it means to lead and demonstrate peace, demonstrate love and kindness and understanding. For you men of stature, teach the young men in your tutelage how to lead with care, and show them how to cultivate the peace, how to lead their households and interact with their wives and their significant others in ways that prioritize non-sexual intimacy. Because if the men want to lead, these are places where they should be leading as well. It is not just a place to receive peace and to receive respect and to receive non-sexual intimacy. Those are also places for you as a man to lead and to show that this is the standard for both of us. Also, teach the men that you're responsible for the importance of what it means to be a nurturing husband, to be a nurturing father, and how important it is for you to show up and be present in that capacity every single day. If we do these things, we might just have a chance on increasing the number of healthy relationships that could lead to an increase in the number of marriages. While Chapman in the 5 Love Languages suggests that we learn and put into practice all 5 love languages, which is quality time, words of affirmation, acts of service, gifts, and physical touch, that we learn the one that best fits our significant other, so that we prioritize the one that resonates with them the most. I would suggest that when it comes to Fraser's suggestions on what men want in marriage and what women want in marriage, I would say that both men and women in relationships or in marriage should be prioritizing the cultivation of peace daily, respect daily, nurturing of the children daily, and non-sexual intimacy daily. The work here, however, is for you older men or more seasoned leaders to demonstrate to the younger men what that looks like, what that feels like, and how to embrace that and not feel like less of a man when you are receiving that, and not feel like less of a man when you are leading from that place. Now, I am one woman, and we are not a monolith. My ancestors did not fight as hard as they fought, and they did not sacrifice as much as they did. They did not strategize at Bois-Caïman the way that they did to free us from our oppressors, just for this generation of Black women to be willfully subjecting ourselves and submitting ourselves to another oppressor who comes in the form of misogyny and sexism and patriarchy at the hands of Black men. If we are to move forward, we are to move forward together as a community, both men and women. If we are to move upwards, we are to move upwards together, men and women. The women I am descended from are leaders, revolutionary, strategists, warriors. We conquer everything and everyone who seek to oppress us. So my rally call for this situation of love in the Black community, of healthy relationship in the Black community, of healthy marriages in the Black community, is what it's always been for our people. La union fait la force. Let us all walk together and start to build our families from a place of love and respect and honor. And P.S., as you all, the leaders, start to host these men groups and these men empowerment sessions, I want you to consider making sure that there are women in the room, women who are from every walk of life, women who have experienced life and who can stand in a room and keep the truth there. Consider, when you are having these men empowerment sessions, to have some women who serve as liaisons and representatives of the rest of us. Do not be in a room and, out of helping men move forward, you are quieting the voices of women, or you are allowing someone who is not qualified to represent women do so, because it goes against what you ultimately are trying to do, which is to improve the rates of marriage and togetherness in our community. So have some women on those panels. Have some women be keynote speakers. Some real women who know what life is like out here for us, so that some of these misconceptions aren't perpetuated in your men empowerment sessions, but are rooted out. And the men who come to these empowerment sessions that you'll be having in September and October and November and so forth, leave those rooms feeling like, I know what to do to be a better father. I know what to do to be a better boyfriend. I know what to do to be a better husband and a better leader in my house. A man who can lead with respect, with peace and love and care and understanding. Equip those men that you are responsible for with the tools they need to be better. And that might look like when they leave those rooms with you, they're convicted. And they are challenged to step up and be better men. So, thank you for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.